Hi, this is Linda
And this is Leslie.
with Let's Talk.
Let's talk, Linda. We're going to just have some girl talk today.
What's our topic, Leslie?
Today, we're going to talk about how to follow your passions.
Cool. Gwen, the floor is yours.
Hi. So talking, we were reminiscing about, the path that we chose or the majors that we chose when we were in college. And we were like, okay, well, if we had to do it all over, what would you have done instead? And I majored in finance, which at that time, something I was interested in doing and wanted to go on to Wall Street and do that. And obviously that path wasn't necessarily the path that I ended up on. I ended up more in corporate America. And I'm a senior finance manager right now, but I've always been very passionate about acting and being creative and writing and telling stories. So there's times where I get this yearning where it's like, I just really want to follow my passion. But I'm at a point in my life and a stage in my life where, I have a family, I have children, a husband, a household. I can't just up and quit my job and just pursue my passion. I'm a little further on in life. And even when I was 20, I don't know if I would have even been bold enough to just after it. So in my life journey, I've had the opportunity, I've been fortunate enough to still have the opportunity to do the things that I love, to be passionate, to follow my passion, maybe just not to the fullest extent that I think I should be doing it, but I've still been able to fulfill that. But there are some people that, they get torn, like to really want to just go after it because I'm working a job every single day that I hate. And it doesn't fulfill me, but I have to make a living.
Yeah.
So, I guess my question has always been like, when do you make that decision or what can be your driving force? Because I know for me, I think the thing that held me back from just really going after it full force was probably a little bit of fear and of not having that stability. Acting is a field that's very hard to get into. I mean, if you want to do a full force, I didn't want to be living out of my car. I mean, at 20, and I definitely don't want to do it now, now that I have more responsibility. So it's either you find that balance where you're fulfilling it to a point where you don't feel like it's either all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's times where I thought it had to be either all or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
When I really thought about it, it was like, no, you're still doing that. You still have followed your passion because I still act to this day. I've been acting over 30 years. I still act to this day. I still have opportunities. I've been very involved in the drama ministry at church and in other facets that maybe I didn't think was sufficient enough, but it really has been.
Yeah.
So, but I think the biggest question is, people feel like, well, I have to just do it all 100%, or I don't feel like I'm achieving anything.
Yeah. I reflect back on when we all started, and in the previous episode, we talked about how we connected as a group of ladies when we were in undergrad. And you remember when Leslie was working at the radio station, Gwen, and we would call in and pretend to be different people because she needed people to call in because the phone lines.
Because I had the graveyard shift and everybody was asleep.
There's times she would ask us to come down to the station.
Yeah.
Stay up so she wouldn't fall. But I mean, that was something that she was passionate about.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, either she didn't fully follow it after college because maybe she didn't know what doors, or she wanted that security of, okay, I need a job.
That's right, Les. So what was it? Because I just knew that both you and Gwen would continue in that acting path because, I came to see you at the play that you engaged in, one of your couple of your plays at the Little House, what the Little Theater.
Yeah.
You remember? It's demolished now. But yeah, right. And so there was just something there for the two of you that I just knew, you would continue on. So what, for Leslie, what was that? Because I saw it in you where you had a knack for, being in that industry, whether it's the acting or being a personality of some sort on air. So then, but what happened?
I think like Gwen was saying, sometimes we let our own insecurities or fears get in the way. And
Mhm.
I too didn't know what road to take to go in that direction. And I knew I had to work. I knew I had to make money. I had a student loan I needed to pay back.
Yeah.
So and my grandmother told me, she said, well, become a teacher and you'll always have a job. And that part was true. I had gotten a job right out of college, and that's where I stayed. And although I did not necessarily go that direction, I felt like I was acting every day. As a teacher, you have to perform because you have to engage your students in one way or another. And
True.
in that respect, I felt like, okay, I'm making a difference in someone's life, because as a teacher, you're impacting your students, whether good or bad. So I justified that in my mind, saying, okay, well, I'm still fulfilling my dream, but I really was not fulfilling the true dream that's in my heart. And I still, like Gwen, I still have that desire. I want to go full-fledged in that. And, whatever reason it is that's holding me back, it's just my own. And I remember hearing somebody say this. They said had a conversation with a gentleman. And the guy said, oh, I want to play the piano like you. And he said, no, you don't. He said, yes, I do. He said, no, you don't. He said, hey, you're in my car and I'm driving you around and I want to play the piano like you. And he said, are you taking lessons? He said, no. He said, the proof of desire is in the pursuit. And I said, that's good, because it's very true. What are we pursuing? If this is our desire, where are our pursuits? Georgia, where's your pursuit?
That's a good question, because I remember after graduating, I was torn. Do I sign up, join the Peace Corps and go traversing all over? My initial intent was all over Africa and Europe. Or do I go to grad school, right? And I really, I fought hard with that. I went to grad school, and then one thing led to another, got married, children, here I am. Right? Where did my Peace Corps traveling the world, being of service, to different communities. In my interest was in Africa, whichever African country, So what did I do? I said, well, when I got to grad school, so I met my husband, who is from Ghana. So I thought, okay, well, this will work, because I am going to get to Ghana and then, right? Yeah. So, but in all honesty, though, while I may not have had the opportunity yet to travel to the different, international places that I intended to be of service in certain communities, I still am actively involved in just being a supporter, a teacher, a mentor in my chosen field, which was mathematics. Because Gwen said she started off, you said finance, but the real deal is that you started off in engineering.
But I think I chose that one because I kind of was following someone else's.
Yeah.
And when I couldn't get any of my courses, I was like, no, well, that's not really what I wanted to do anyway. So I knew I wanted to be in business, but I knew I didn't want to do accounting, because I didn't want to do like the CPA and the corporate accounting. So I said, well, let me try finance, because finance has so many different spectacles, areas that you can go into with having a finance degree. And at that time I was like, oh, I can go work on Wall Street. And having different internships over the years, I was able to have an internship in Connecticut at GE. And at that time, GE owned NBC. So one of the part of that program was to be able to work at NBC. And I was like, oh, that would be the dream to work. I'm in finance, I'm making money, but I'm also at, a major network where I can see how things work behind the scenes in whatever aspect. Well, that didn't work out. God had other plans, and I ended up back home for now that I see a purpose. There was a purpose to having to come back home. And so when I look over it, I said, well, it didn't pan out the way that I thought it was going to pan out. God still brought me back, opened up doors and provided opportunities where I was able to get back involved in acting. So I did a lot of plays with local productions. I did a major play at the Genesee Theater for Color Girls, and have worked very diligently with local writers and things. And then I met my husband, and he's an actor and he's a writer. So we had that commonality where we still say, okay, we still know we want to write some plays. We want to do some more writing things. So it may have not looked the way that I thought it would look, because I thought it had to be full out. God is still navigating that. I don't think that's the end of the story. So still navigating that. Like I said before, I think it's just in my own mind, I always thought it had to be all or nothing, and not really think about the small steps that he's already taken me through to get to where ultimately he may have me. Because this is not the end of the story.
That's good, Gwen.
Final destination. And I think Linda mentioned something before when she was saying, you know, there's seasons that we have to go through in our lives, but each step that we take prepares us for something else. It's always, when you think of your life is a journey, but every step prepares you for the next level of your life. And maybe even mine, I thought, oh, I'm ready to be out there, but maybe I really wasn't ready to be fully committed and devoted in the way that I might have to be. So I think the steps, the baby steps to get to the ultimate destiny, I'm still traveling that road.
Yeah. You know what gets us in trouble is when we start to try to compare our lives to what somebody else has done by a certain time. That gets us in trouble all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So one thing I've learned is that time always reveals and time always heals, right? So we have to just be mindful of that and not to stay, you know, while we are celebrating other people's experiences and their charge through their given walk, we have to not try to say, well, gee, well, what have I done? Or, you know, how do I measure up to that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we all fall into that sometimes.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you feel, I believe there's two different things. There's your gift, and then your destiny or your desire, your passion of what you want to do. My gift, and I know it because I do it without even thinking twice, is an encourager. I can encourage anybody to do anything. My husband said I encouraged him that he think he can build a house, and he's nowhere near there. He goes, I have to like only take so much of your encouragement because you'll make me think I could build a house.
Right.
So I have to catch myself, but I know I'm an encourager. But my passion, you know what I mean, is a little different. It's still helping people, making a difference. I did outreach and different things like that. So I do my gift every day. You know what I mean? It just flows out of me without me realizing it. Talking to somebody, if I see them sad or stuck, my gift come out. Wait, you can do this or you could do that. I did that with you, Glenn. You know,
Right.
like, it just automatically come out without even thinking twice of it. And I think we forget about that, you know, that gift that we have. What do you guys think about that? And compared to your purpose of what you want to do or your passion?
Good question.
That's a
Georgia,
good
why don't
point.
you answer that?
Okay, so I really like what Linda was saying about knowing what your gift or gifts are. And as she was talking, I was thinking, well, what exactly is my gift? You know, because I see some of what I saw some of what you were saying in me in terms of, you know, uh, encourager, but for me, I think I'm more finding alternatives, which then sounds kind of like what you were saying, right? So, and I see myself doing it all the time, right? Even with my girls, and they're sometimes like, enough, I don't need, So I like if they come and say, well, I can't really get this, and I'd say, well, how about this or this or this? So I'm always quick to find options, right? And and that's so evident in my life, because anytime I'm going about something and then I come to a point where it's like, okay, what next? And then I'm always looking for options, right? So I do it too, even, oh my gosh.
That's your gift. You're creative. You do that. Okay, Gwen. So
I think mine is very similar too. I think I have a natural way of being able to communicate with someone, a better way of doing something, or kind of encourage them, or be that ear and voice of reason for certain things. But
True.
and I'm definitely very devoted to people. So I think that's just my natural gift, that, like you said, I'm here to listen. I'll give you a word of encouragement, that type of thing. And then obviously my passion is to, when I say acting, is more than just the acting and the writing. I'm more of a storyteller. I want to be able to tell a story in a way that people can really truly relate to it, and see themselves in that, but also get something out of it. Get something, a message from that story that I tell, that to say that, you know what, I may have been in a dark place, or I've experienced that and I've experienced that, but I can see a way out of it. And how it was presented to me in this story. So, yeah, I guess that's.
Uh-oh, Leslie's got the finger.
I know.
Okay.
But I'm listening to you guys, and I'm loving it, because I'm seeing a common thread in everybody. That, because here's the thing, we've all been created to help other people, and I think back on Martin Luther King when he said there's no greater, I think this was his father, no greater purpose in man than to help his, no greater purpose for a man than to help his fellow man. And that's really what I'm hearing in all of you, is that the encourager is one that helps other people in one fashion or another. And I go back on that scripture that talks about Barnabas. He was a son of consolation, which means he was a son of encouragement. And that's really what we are called to do in one way or another, because love is not selfish.
Right.
So when you're thinking about this, when you're encouraging people you work with, or your children, or the people come across your path, you're not being selfish, because you want the best for them. And I, as a teacher, that's what I'm just naturally inclined to do, is to encourage my students. So I see that in my career, but I also, thinking back, I've always been one that's like a supporter. And like you, Gwen, being that ear, sometimes I don't necessarily have to say anything. Sometimes people just want a sounding board. So yeah, I can say the same. It looks different, but I can say the same.
I think yours is even more than that, Leslie. You look for, okay, this person haven't said anything, or this person is kind of away. Let's bring them in. You know what I mean? Like you look for that. If anybody's missing, is everybody participating? You're more of that gathering together. I could see that more of you, of making sure everybody feel comfortable, everybody feel part of it. That part of it. Me, I'd be like my own little dancing world.
All about me.
Yeah. Don't realize nobody
Like,
else.
oh, you still there?
So, but I think you're right. We all have a part, because we need, like, when people come to you just to think, to focus, to keep them grounded, to just hear that, to, you know what I mean? Of being that ear that they can listen to. And that's all, that you can just listen, take it in, and you have that calmness about you, and that heart of trust of what you say will never be repeated, won't even be brought up again. Do you know what I mean? That's yours, that they can come
That's what it's like.
It's
You
true.
tell Gwen something, it is locked, key, shut down. She is
Yeah,
not repeat it, because
that's true.
I value that. I mean, I want people to feel that confidence with me, and I take that to heart. I guess that's probably why I'm such a private person, because I've been burned in the past when I've shared something, and the next thing I know, it's all over town. So take that to heart. That is gold to me. If you're sharing something with me and you say this is in confidence, it's confident. There's no more speaking about it.
Yeah.
You poured your heart out to me. You laid your heart on the table to me. Why would I destroy that?
That's good,
Yeah.
Gwen. That's real good. I love
You know,
that.
the other thing about Leslie too, Linda, that I've learned is that whenever I start to take myself too seriously, Leslie always finds a way to bring it back, like, girl, what are you talking about?
She knows
Right?
how to lighten the mood.
Yeah, exactly. Like when it just starts to get just too intense.
Heavy.
So I think what I love about this is that we all balance each other in one way or another.
Exactly. And I think for me, I was thinking about it, and I said, don't minimize the opportunities that God has already given you. Don't minimize that and think that's not enough, because it is. Because you don't know where those steps, those baby steps may propel me to. And I've enjoyed those times. So take it for what it is, enjoy the opportunities as they come, and make the most of them.
And here's the thing too, and I want to just add to that, and I want to bring Georgia back in. When you're faithful over what you've been given to do, your reward is just as great as a Billy Graham, because you are faithful over what God has given you to do.
Right.
Georgia, what do you say about that?
I 100% agree that, you might think that you're not getting the limelight that you should have had. But in what Linda said, just being a part of that supporting cast is just as important. And another thing too is we all have a tendency to not embrace the moment that we are in as we are in it, right? And so, we kind of miss some of the if what you're looking for is glory, I don't know.
You're still worried about being bigger. You're not enjoying where you're at now.
Yeah. And
Good.
so that, is what I have to offer. Just
This
enjoy the
is
moment.
like the
as it is.
saying, what's the saying when they say, don't worry about tomorrow, enjoy today, because today is the present, and the present is what you have. And so looking at each moment and each day as a present, and looking at, okay, God, what is it that you have for me today? And about tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough troubles of its own. What is the joy of today? We may not see. So I think, and I know for me, sometimes I can jump ahead, and I always have to reel myself back in and say, no, Lord, I want to be in line with you.
Yes.
I want to get ahead of you. I know that, you're working things out in me, and I don't want to jump ahead of you. So I have to reel myself back and say, okay, let me take one step at a time, one day at a time, and enjoy each moment as it comes, because I don't know where that's leading.
I heard somebody say also, if you're not happy now, stop thinking something else. If you get something else that's going to make you happy, a house, a home, a husband, a wife, kids, all this other stuff. If you're not happy with what you have now, then those other things are not going to make you happy, because you're going to want something else. You have to learn how to be content with what you have now.
In the present.
And use your gifts and skills now, not when I'm on a platform, or not when, this happened. Use your talents, your gifts now. And that's the whole point of this podcast, is Are we living it? We should be doing it now. There's no excuse. It might not be where we want to be, but if we don't
Mhm.
start right now, how will it ever be where we want it to be?
That's true.
That's
Exactly.
good advice.
You ready to say the quote?
Absolutely, because here's the thing. If you like what you heard, and I know you did, because I liked it, and I know everybody on this call right here liked it as well, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel so you can get more stories just like the ones that were shared today, which is about following your passions, even though you may not make a living, because you're going to impact somebody's life, whether or not you know it, because it's about life's lessons. And it's about laughter. And that's one of the things I love about these ladies. We can get a good laugh in.
Mhm.
And it's about making relationships that what? Laugh.
Until next time, bye.